inside. Water sticks together in its natural liquid form because of the characteristics of the oxygen and hydrogen atoms. The chemical properties make water essential to functioning of living things. You can't live without water. And even organisms that live in water have a unique relationship to water. And we must ingest water to be in good health. Organisms that live in water are both ingesting it and they're inhaling it, and it's affecting them on their surfaces. So it might be that they're absorbing it, and we'll talk more about that. A couple of its additional chemical properties. It has thermal stability, and it's not closely decomposed into other elements, so you can't break it apart. It's not at all a good conductor of electricity, and it takes having other ions in it to make it conduct electricity better. Electropositive metals will react with water violently, and so they'll cause a hydrogen gas to come off. So water in a chemistry circumstance can be used as a reactant with really positive metals. So sodium is a metal. In this case, when you put sodium with water, it causes a reaction that will create a solid called sodium hydroxide with a gaseous emission, which is hydrogen gas. We've been able to create some very important chemical circumstances from that. For example, this is one of those reactions which has allowed people to think about hydrogen power, and we have fuel cells that do just this in a chemical way. Electronegative metals, chlorine is a metal that is negative, sodium's positive, react with water at ordinary temperatures to form an acid, hydrochloric acid, and a oxygenated form of water, really, of hydrogen and chloride. And they create a more acidic water. And that's going to be important as we talk about microorganisms, fungi and others. Fungi is a better pronunciation today. When I grew up in science 40 years ago, we called fungi fungi. So I will say that more often than I should. The right pronunciation today is actually fungi. Anyway, that reaction between chloride, which is very common as a constituent in natural waters, will create acidic water. This reaction with sodium, which is very common, will create a more basic water situation. Most organic compounds are insoluble in water, which means they won't break down. They'll actually stay in their own form. But non-polar organic compounds like ether, benzene, alcohol are soluble, and that's not really relevant for what we're going to talk about. Here's just something that is just a fact around the world. There's a clear correlation between the access to safe water and the gross domestic product across the world. In places where there's a high GDP, the United States being one, China now being another, we have safe water. In places in the world like many of the African countries where there's not good drinking water for the masses, they have very low gross domestic products. Water is unbelievably important. Some observers have estimated that not very long from now, less than 10 years from now, more than half the world will be facing water-based vulnerability.